benefits of auctions,
and why so many sellers want to do auctions.
the guys let loose, and only 4 installs this week.
I mean, that's the good thing when you don't have the installs, we can do the pack-ups and get a lot of the furniture back.
This is Foxy TV, episode 55. Let's figure it out.
4 in it now.
3 in a car, 1 in a truck.
Valuable and adding value for your clients.
Team's all here now. About to have a team meeting. Cam, what's on today?
2, maybe 3 pack-ups.
Yeah, no installs.
No installs. First day without install for a little while.
Today,
First up, Monday morning, we had a team meeting. Now, usually I can find some part of the team meeting to share on Foxy TV, but this meeting in particular, it was either A, confidential information, or B, it was non-work related, and I just didn't think you'd want to hear about that on Foxy TV. I then spoke to Jake about the numbers.
So Jake, not as many installs this week?
No, this week, just the 5 at the moment, locked in. Trying to do about 8 a week, but bunch more pack-ups, so warehouse has been pretty empty, so that's the good thing when you don't have the installs, we can do the pack-ups and get a lot of the furniture back.
Aiming for 30 installs for February, and we're how many? 26?
We're at 26, so it's the 17th today. We'll go close, so at this point, we're 2 weeks from the end of we've got 2 weeks left in the month. It's probably about this point where we start locking in more jobs for March, the month after, so we might not quite get to 30, we'll go close, but another solid month either way.
Last week you weren't 100% happy with, I believe it was a bedroom at one of the installs?
Yeah, so the way that we work it, the girls, in order to grow, obviously had to get stylists in. We train them up and then they go out and do the installs, but I still check all of the photos. So if something isn't up to the sort of quality that I want it to be at, we don't leave it, I go back and change it. So there was one instance last week, but it's not on the girls producing something that was subpar. It was down to the stock that we had here available, and they were trying to make it work, and my preference was to go out and buy new stuff. So they just didn't have the okay for me to go buy the new stuff, which is why they put together what they did, and it was okay, but it wasn't amazing. So I wanted it to be amazing, so I called the agents. Photos hadn't happened yet. I went back the next morning, switched it over. It was really boring, and it wasn't going to look good in a photo. There was nothing, the lamps were too little on low bedside tables, like the whole thing together, the combination just didn't work. So I went out and bought darker pillows to make it a bit more bold and make it actually stand out. Bought in taller lamps, still use the same bedsides, but it needed some grand lamps. And then the bedding, Hero pillows and the artwork, bedside tables all said the same. It just needed those extra finishes. So the agents appreciated it, but I won't leave it if I'm not happy with it.
So just the 2 pack-ups today, no installs. Cassie had been to a consult and was chatting to Phoebe. And I wanted to find out a little bit more about the process from a consult to a quote.
And bed linen for her master bed. So Cassie does a consult, goes out and meets a client and runs through a property, and then I do up the quote. I write up the quote, and that way there's always 2 of us that know what's going on at a property at any one time.
And so you're just looking at photos that
Yeah, so this one had some particular points that the client's spoken through with the agent that Cassie's been briefed on, and then Cassie's briefing me so I can make sure we incorporate it in there and make sure that it happens when it comes to install day.
And so you put the quote together pretty quickly as well?
Yeah, so all our quotes get to put together within 24 hours of us being to the property. So I'll go back home tonight and I'll do it tonight, send it through, and then follow up with the client tomorrow.
With the pack-ups done and it being home time, I found Russ and Cam in a pretty good mood.
It's just gone 7:30 Tuesday morning. The boys, Cam and Russ, are already out of here. They've left. They are on their way to a pack-up. They'll come back, we'll unload and reload for an install in Belmont. And then they've also got to come back and reload, and they've got their second install, I believe it's in Kelvin Grove. So busy day for the truck, and that's why they're 7:30 and they're already gone.
Once the guys got back, they unloaded the truck and reloaded it for the install in Belmont.
It's pretty much all the furniture off the truck now, I think. And starting to come together. Where are you, Janessa? She's hiding. There she is. Janessa, how many, some good audio here. How many bedrooms are we doing here?
We're doing all 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms?
Yeah.
And 2 living, it looks like?
2 living and 1 dining.
Back to the warehouse where the guys loaded the truck again for a second install, this time in Kelvin Grove. Tuesday, 11:30, the boys are on their way to Kelvin Grove for the second install of the day. What are you up to? Just doing a bit of work here?
Yep, got a couple of office days, which is nice. So getting a bit of fittings ticked off my list.
Now, last week you wrote a LinkedIn article and we posted it on Facebook, Instagram, created a bit of discussion.
Yep.
What was that article about?
So I called it Ditch the Pretty Talk, and it was basically talking about how in our industry a lot of, not a lot, but some stylists tend to focus too much on the fact that we make houses look nice, like pretty, and they don't focus as much on everything else. So that's obviously part of what we do, but it's, for a lot of people it seems to be the focus, whereas for us we know that that's only a component of what home staging actually is. So the quote that I used was that home stagers don't make houses pretty, we make them marketable. And at the end of the day, we're in real estate marketing. We're trying to sell or help sell a home or market a home with the agent. And I should clarify, because I had a few comments where I've maybe indicated that I didn't explain it as well as I should have. That doesn't mean we don't focus on making a house look good. That's obvious to me, but it's more of an outcome. That's part of what we do. It's not the end point. We need to be thinking about first impressions and the function of a space. We need to be thinking about how it can, obviously the online photos are critical in bringing people to the open homes and to build competition, that sort of thing. So all of that's obviously important, but it's only a small component of it. And as a home stager, we also know things like being very flexible, being great with communication, and I'll put it in the article, but a bunch of other things are just as important as the actual way that a property looks.
I then jumped in the car with Phoebe and headed out to Callum Vale, where she was going to have a chat with Jess Chia, an agent who sold a house at auction that we styled.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
What was that?
Where's Janessa?
What's she want?
We are installing, well, they are installing, a property today. It's a tenanted property. We don't do it very often. Actually, this is the second time ever. And we request generally that clients aren't home when we do an install, workplace health and safety. But the tenants are home and they are not leaving. It makes it a little bit more difficult just to work around everybody, but also stressful.
Where are we, Phoebe?
We are in Calvert. We sold this one about 4 weeks ago, went to auction on the weekend and successfully sold for a street record. So come to have a bit of a chat to the agent.
When we actually talk about private treaty and auction, I think with auctions, how it works for our sellers and why so many sellers want to do auctions is because in the first 28 days, you're, from a seller point of view, you've got all the right to ask for a cash unconditional sale. We're not going through the extra little conditions of subject to finance, subject to building impairs, all these little strings where, the emotion of buying a property goes all the way to, like peak level, and you're exchanging contracts and everyone's excited. And then you go through these little things where maybe there's something insignificant that comes out of a building and pest, or like just going through finance and valuations and all that kind of little extra stresses. From a seller point of view, it's not the best. I understand it protects the buyer and there's that side of things, but the first 28 days to have, all right, we're only talking about price. We're not talking about how long the condition is or what the conditions are in the first place. So to have that, I think a lot of sellers do prefer that. But I think why staging works so well hand in hand with auction is because it's a very emotional sort of situation as well. You know, in the first 28 days, as agents, we're creating competition, we're creating the emotional connection to the property, and that all comes to a point on auction day as to exactly how much someone will pay for it. And that's why having a staged home makes such a big difference on auction day, because you have plenty of people coming through and everyone's just reminded yet again on auction day, wow, look at how gorgeous this space flows, because this house has heaps of open spaces.
It does, lots of living spaces.
That's right. And you know, is this a living space or is this a dining, or how does this work, or how can we separate the zones? And that's where staging gives the idea, because this home possibly could have gone on the market without any furniture at all, with the owners moving out. So to have the zones and the flow and, you know, giving it that modern uplift using your beautiful furniture pieces that you guys have, I think it makes a world of the difference. I remember the owner coming in after it was staged, because the team went through privately, you guys got access to the house, and they came in after everything was done and they gave me a call and they said, is this even my house?
She texted me at midnight to tell me how much she loved it.
That's exactly it. And you know, like, and that's an owner who's been here since it was built 22 years ago. Imagine a buyer, like the first impression they would have gotten when they saw the property.
So we're going to put up some before images. So before you came through, the home, like, well, actually when you first came through, we had orange walls, we had a purple wall, we had brown and blue walls, and which in the 90s when we did feature walls, that's what happened, terracotta tiles, and then you had feature walls to create elements of interest. But as styling and to sell a home, you want a neutral palette, and that's what your recommendation straight up. We got rid of the pot stand in the kitchen because we had all these beautiful natural modern pendants, but you couldn't see them because so just giving those sorts of advice and really balancing the return on investment for the owners to get the bang for buck at the end of the day.
And that's the thing, you know, like, because these owners have trusted me from day one, and I'm so appreciative of that. But we've also been able to guide on what they spend and don't spend, because they did have other things of where there was thinking about spending where it could have cost them 10, 20, 30 grand, you know, like,
and those suppliers, they genuinely do believe that they add the value, and in some cases they do, but you've really got to pick and choose.
That's right.
And have someone to guide you.
That's right, because you can do everything to a home, you can do nothing to the home, or where do you land in between? And it's really picking the things where, you know, what you spend does give you in return, whether it be in buyer interest or genuine, you know, like, or does it take away from buyer interest because you didn't do something? And that's where a local agent, because we talk to buyers all the time, it is so true that, you know, there are certain trends in buyers where some buyers are very particular on wanting something or not wanting something, and, you know, guiding our owners to which direction we go is very crucial too.
It's very similar with the styling. So we're not going to come in and, like, for example, modern smack on trend is working perfectly in Paddington, but you can't bring that in here. And that's the same sort of advice that you give to the client. So it does make sense to have that guiding hand.
That's right.
And back to the warehouse to see what was on for the rest of the week.
What's on tomorrow, Phoebe?
3 pack-ups, Cody. We're supposed to have 1 more install this week. No, 2 more installs this week, but the tenants haven't moved out yet, so other things happening. But lots of pack-ups, lots of stuff's been selling.
And that's it for Foxy TV episode 55. Thanks for watching. See you next week.